Hey everybody, how we doing? So let's do a quick update on Bitcoin, Ethereum. Really, to be honest, there's not too much to update on. Most of my prior videos and prior analysis has already covered what we're going to go over today. We'll just add in a few little things. Okay. So first, let's just mark our levels, right? Our significant levels. All right. So we have weekly resistance right here. We know that. Like I said, a lot of this will be a little repetitive, but we'll just try to breeze through it. Okay, so weekly resistance, right? We can see that on the weekly we've been continuously making higher lows, right? So that could be potentially bullish. We sort of had a bit of a double bottom here, excuse me. Higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. But now we are getting this strong doji, a lot of consolidation. I believe for the last 3 days we've had candle closes on the 4-hour, all within 35 points. So yeah, very tight consolidation, right? All right, so now let's move down to our next level that will be that will matter here, right? We have a untested 3-day support level right here, right? So when we move down, we know this is that level to where we came down, and we just wicked it, right? Just a little wick in there. So I think there's still some support in here, and you know, if you want to look at the potential liquidity, then you could say, okay, there's some liquidity below this wick, right? That's the lowest wick of this area, combined with support. That's where our current active entry is, okay? And that is based off of this 3D area right here. All right, so we have 3-day support, and we have weekly resistance. Now, to tighten this up a little bit, or you know, to get down to the lower time frames here a bit, we could see on the daily we came up, got rejected by the weekly resistance EQ. Somewhat of a hammer here, but not really strong. And remember, let's understand what these candles mean, right? So bulls pushed it up, bears rejected it. Another way we could say it is there was just more supply here than demand, so the sellers pushed it down. All right. Bottom of the weekly block right here, the support, buyers bought it back up. Sellers pushed it down. Buyers bought it back up. And now we're just getting these very strong dojis back to back to back, okay? So price is definitely getting very tight. We do have to understand that in confluence with the bottom of the weekly support here, we have our daily support here for Bitcoin. Now on Ethereum, the structure is actually different. Let's see, do I have an ETH chart real quick? Yeah, ignore this orange line. That's just the alert I have on. Whoops. Okay. Don't need this, but yeah, I'll leave it there. I don't want to mess up my alerts. We are making a series of higher lows on the 4-hour on Ethereum. But once again, this resistance right here, structurally different than Bitcoin. But so see, there's the Bitcoin has turned support, but on ETH, it's actually resistance. I don't see this as much of a big deal, to be honest, because we know that Ethereum and Bitcoin move as one, essentially. The only thing that has me a little weirded out is how high these USD longs are. They're topping out a little bit, but I mean this is straight mooning, right? So does this have anything to do with the difference in structure here? Difficult to say, but I think at the end of the day, without all the extra, the extracurricular and whatnot, Bitcoin and ETH basically move the same. If you look at the charts, just look at the daily chart here, look at the daily chart here, there's not really much argument to it. They move the same, right? To mostly move the same. So I don't think, any extra, outside stuff is going to really change that. In terms of what I'm watching, like I said, on the lower time frame, if we go down to like the 2-hour, we could see a bit of a pennant forming here. Although there are other ways to definitely draw this, and if you use like a line chart, you could see it a bit more clean, but there is this thing sort of messing it up here. So let's just let's draw this out. Let's go to the 2 hour. Let's bring our candles back. When I draw formations, people always ask, oh, do you use wicks? Do you use bodies? I really think formation drawing is sort of like it's like an art form, quote unquote. Not to, praise myself. I'm just saying, like, think of it as like an art form. Is that I don't think there's always an extremely right way to draw a formation, whether you're using wicks or whether you're using the bodies and whatnot. I think what matters is how you trade it, right? Because I'll show you guys an example. I would probably draw this something like this, right? I'd probably use this wick and I'd use those bodies. And now you could make the argument for a descending triangle, right? So let's just say you're making the argument for a descending triangle, right? Let's use that first. Let's bold this up so we can see a little bit. If you're making the argument for a descending triangle, all that matters is how you trade it, okay? So if it breaks down, you get a 2 hour close outside of the bottom of the descending triangle, right? You take a stop, you take your tool, and you see where your stop is, and your stop is simply above the ascending line. And then, wherever you want to put your target, if you want to put it below liquidity, if you want to just put it at support, etc., etc. Now, if this is a pennant, right? So let's say you're going to just draw this as a pennant instead. You got a wick here, and you got your bodies here, and you got a wick here. All right, some decent confluence for it being a pennant. And you're saying, okay, well, this is a continuation pennant, so we're looking for a breakout. So you're looking for a long. So you get a 2 hour close outside of here. And also what I would consider is that, watch this area right here that has served as resistance, right? Look, resistance, resistance. So just because you have a little breakout, right? Just because you have a little breakout doesn't mean you're not just going to get rejected right there, okay? So something I would be looking for would be, a breakout of here, a retest, and there's your long, right? So you take your long tool here. This would be something like your entry, and your stop right back below the pennant, just in case it wants to come back down and retest it, right? Sometimes we've seen that happen. Now this is a bit of a different idea, right? Because we're talking about how to play formations, but we're also talking about this area of resistance right here. So do we want to see it come all the way back down? Not really, but we have seen it happen before, and then it explodes, right? Like we've seen that happen often. Like everyone jumps in, right? Right. So it breaks out, people jump in, comes back in, everyone gets stopped out, and then it goes. Like we've seen that a lot. So something to consider. But really, the point here is when you're drawing formations and you're utilizing formations, what matters is simply how you're trading based off it. It could be an ascending, it could be a descending triangle. I mean, this could be an ascending triangle, right? Look at, we could set it up like this. There you go. Now you have, delete this line, delete this, use the weekly EQ line as your ascending, and say it continues to form like this. Now you have ascending triangle, right? So formations are very open to interpretation. That's why typical price action techniques are definitely more reliable nowadays. Back in the day, these formations used to work very easily. We've discussed this many times. You'd have a rising wedge, and it would go up, and you would wait for the candle close outside of the formation, and then it would drop like a rock. Okay, wonderful days, great memories, but it simply doesn't work like that anymore. So you have to, adapt with the times and understand, you need to watch not only the formation, you can utilize the formation, but also watch this resistance area. Okay. Is there much else to discuss? Truthfully, not really. Like I said, really just, doing an update just for sort of the sake of it, hopefully a little bit of education in there. Obviously our levels are not, oh, sorry, I was hearing an alarm. Our levels are not perfect here. Sorry, it was my my alarm clock, someone's alarm clock going off in the house. Anyway, so yeah, the levels are not 100% perfect here, but you guys know the deal. The levels were discussed in a recent video, and we've seen them respected. Just in the Discord, in the video section, you could see there's a video, and I talk in the description about how we go over our levels and whatnot. Okay, hopefully that's a simple update to keep you guys in the loop, what I'm looking for, and hopefully we get some movement soon, because as we could see, just very tight, right? Very tight. Look at the 4 hour closes here. 34 points. for 3 days and 4 hours now, 34 points. All right, so hopefully this market gets to moving, and that's what we're looking for. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Have a great day.